Right now, there are more AI models than anyone can reasonably keep track of. Text models, image models, video models, music models, all launching new versions every few months. If you've ever wondered what's actually different between ChatGPT and Claude, or why everyone's suddenly talking about Sora and Suno, this video is the cheat sheet. I'm going through every major AI model you actually need to know in 2026, what it does, who made it, and what it's genuinely best at. Let's get into it. ChatGPT? Let's start with the one everyone already knows. ChatGPT, made by OpenAI, is the app that basically kicked off this entire AI boom back in 2022. ChatGPT is what's called a large language model. It's trained on massive amounts of text so it can hold conversations, write essays, debug code, explain concepts, and generate images through its built-in image tool. It can browse the web for live information, analyze files you upload, and even have voice conversations with you in real time. What makes ChatGPT so dominant is its ecosystem. It has a huge app store of GPTs, mini custom versions people build for specific tasks like resume writing, coding help, or tutoring. It's available on web, desktop, and mobile, and it plugs into tons of other apps and workflows. If you want one all-purpose assistant that does a bit of everything, writing, research, image generation, coding, ChatGPT is the safest starting point because it's the most widely integrated across the internet. Claude, made by Anthropic. Claude has built its reputation on two things: writing quality and coding ability. If you've ever asked an AI to write something and it came back sounding robotic, Claude is usually the one people point to as the exception. It tends to write in a more natural, thoughtful tone. It's also become one of the top picks for programmers, especially through Claude Code, a tool that lets developers hand off entire coding tasks, not just snippets, directly from the terminal. Claude also has a feature called Artifacts, which lets it build and show you working documents, code, and interactive mini-apps right inside the chat, instead of just dumping text on you. Anthropic has also leaned hard into AI safety. Claude is generally seen as more cautious and refuses certain requests other models might allow. So the trade-off is incredible for writing and coding, but a bit more conservative about what it will do. Gemini is Google's flagship AI, and its biggest advantage is baked right into the name of the company that made it: integration. Gemini plugs directly into Gmail, Google Docs, Sheets, Slides, and Google Search. If you're already living inside the Google ecosystem, Gemini can summarize your emails, draft documents, analyze spreadsheets, and pull live search results without you ever leaving the app. Gemini is also multimodal from the ground up, meaning it was built to understand text, images, video, and audio together, not text with other features bolted on later. It can watch a video and answer questions about what happened in it, or look at a photo and reason about the details. For students and professionals already using Google Workspace daily, Gemini often ends up being the most convenient choice simply because it's already sitting right there in the apps they use. Grok is made by xAI, Elon Musk's AI company, and it's built directly into the social media platform X, formerly known as Twitter. That single fact shapes almost everything about how Grok is used. The defining feature of Grok is its real-time access to what's happening on X. So when there's breaking news, a viral moment, or a trending topic, Grok is often the fastest of any assistant to actually know about it and discuss it because it's plugged straight into the live conversation happening on the platform. It also has a noticeably more casual, sometimes edgier personality compared to other assistants, with a fun mode that leans into humor, sarcasm, and a more irreverent tone rather than the polished corporate feel of some competitors. Grok has expanded well beyond just answering questions inside X2. It now handles image generation and video generation, and xAI has been pushing it hard as a serious general-purpose competitor to ChatGPT and Gemini, not just a side feature bolted onto a social app. It's also been trained with a particular focus on being less restrictive than some competitors on certain topics, which has made it popular with users who feel other assistants are overly cautious, while also drawing criticism at times for the opposite reason. If you want an assistant that feels less like a corporate tool and more plugged into live internet culture, breaking news, and real-time conversation, Grok is the one specifically built around that. DeepSeek is a Chinese AI company that made massive waves in the AI world by releasing models that perform close to the top Western models, ChatGPT and Claude-level performance, at a fraction of the training cost, and that news alone briefly shook the entire tech stock market when it broke. The big story with DeepSeek is efficiency. Its models are open weight, which means the actual underlying model files are published publicly, so developers, researchers, and companies can download DeepSeek, run it on their own servers, modify it, fine-tune it for specific tasks, or build entirely new products on top of it, all without paying the ongoing licensing fees you'd typically pay to use a closed model like GPT or Gemini. This made DeepSeek incredibly popular with the developer community almost overnight because suddenly there was a nearly top-tier model that anyone could self-host for free. DeepSeek is particularly strong at math, coding, and step-by-step logical reasoning, and both its free consumer app and its API pricing are aggressively cheap compared to competitors, sometimes by a factor of 10 or more. The catch that comes up constantly in discussions about DeepSeek is that, being based in China, it operates under Chinese content regulations, so certain politically sensitive topics get filtered or avoided in ways that Western models generally don't. There are also ongoing conversations in the tech world about data privacy when using the hosted version, since user data is processed on servers based in China. Perplexity flips the whole idea of a chatbot on its head. Instead of being a conversationalist first and a search tool second, it's built from the ground up to be a research assistant. When you ask Perplexity a question, it doesn't just generate an answer from memory the way a typical chatbot might. It actively searches the live web in real time and gives you an answer with clear citations and numbered source links right next to the specific claims it's making, almost like a cross between a search engine and an AI-powered research paper. This makes it an especially strong choice for people who need to fact-check information, verify a claim before repeating it, or simply want to see exactly where an answer came from, instead of just trusting a black box. Perplexity also has more advanced deep research style features that can spend several minutes actively digging through dozens of different sources, cross-referencing them, and compiling a genuinely thorough, well-organized report on a topic, rather than giving you a quick, surface-level answer. This has made it popular with students writing research papers, analysts doing market research, and journalists trying to quickly get up to speed on a developing story with sources they can actually check. Compared to something like ChatGPT or Gemini, Perplexity is less about creative writing or casual conversation, and much more laser-focused on one job: finding accurate sourced information as fast as possible. MidJourney is one of the names most closely associated with AI art, known specifically for producing strikingly artistic, painterly, and cinematic images, rather than plain, flat photorealism. Originally, MidJourney only worked through Discord, which was an unusual choice for a mainstream creative tool. You'd type commands into a Discord server and watch your image get generated in a chat window alongside everyone else using the bot. It's since expanded into its own dedicated web app with a cleaner, more private interface, but that Discord community origin is still part of its identity and culture today. Artists, concept designers, and hobbyists tend to gravitate toward MidJourney specifically because of its distinct aesthetic. It consistently produces images with more mood, more dramatic lighting, and more artistic stylization, compared to competitors that lean toward flat, literal realism. It's frequently used for concept art, album covers, book covers, fantasy and sci-fi illustration, and general creative exploration, where the goal is a striking, painterly image rather than a photorealistic one. MidJourney has also pushed into video generation more recently, letting creators take the still images they've already generated and animate them into short moving clips, which has opened it up to being used not just for static art, but for short-form video content and motion graphics as well. Copilot. Microsoft's AI and its entire identity is built around one core idea: living inside the software people already use for work every single day. Copilot is woven directly into Windows itself, plus Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, and Teams. In Word, it can draft entire documents from a short prompt or rewrite and polish something you've already written. In Excel, it can analyze raw data, spot trends, and build formulas or charts for you without you needing to know the exact function names. In PowerPoint, it can generate a complete slide deck, structure, text, and design from a single sentence describing what you need. And in Teams, it can summarize meetings you missed, pull out action items automatically, and catch you up in seconds instead of you having to rewatch a recording. There's also a separate but closely related tool called GitHub Copilot, which has become one of the most widely used AI coding assistants in the world. It works right inside code editors, auto-completing lines of code and suggesting entire functions in real time as developers type, which has made it a staple tool in professional software development. Because Microsoft has a deep partnership with OpenAI, Copilot's underlying AI models are closely related to the technology behind ChatGPT. But the real value of Copilot isn't really about having a uniquely different model. It's about the fact that it shows up automatically inside Office and Windows, the exact software where hundreds of millions of people already spend their entire workday, with no need to switch to a separate app at all.